The stars had always whispered to Cooper. Even now, decades after the Endurance mission, with Earth reborn and the dust storms now a memory for textbooks and bedtime stories, Joseph Cooper couldn't shake the sound of space calling to him. The hum of the void, the tick of relative time, the memory of Saturn's rings, it all echoed louder the closer he got to the anomaly. Cooper Station, named after his daughter, Murphy, orbited serenely above the blue and white swirl of Earth. It had become a symbol of salvation and sacrifice. The story of how Muff cracked gravity, how Cooper flew the Endurance through Gargantua's time-bending grasp, and how Amelia Brand founded a colony on Edmund's world had all been memorialized, debated, and sometimes mythologized. But for Cooper, none of it felt finished. Amelia was still out there, alone on a distant planet. Time had passed differently for her. If she was alive, she'd barely aged. He, on the other hand, was now in his 70s, though years in hypersleep and relativistic travel had kept his body decades younger than his birthdate suggested. NASA had long since been reborn on Cooper Station, its mission no longer survival, but exploration. Yet no one had dared return through the wormhole. Fear, politics, and priorities kept humanity close to home. But Cooper couldn't let it go. He owed Amelia that much. Day 1, the mission. Cooper stood in the observation dome of Cooper Station, his hands clasped behind his back as Saturn filled the view. The wormhole hovered just beyond the orbit of Titan, still shimmering like a lens of oil in space. Dr. Tarsen, a young theoretical physicist, walked up beside him. "You're sure you want to do this, Coop? We don't even know if the wormhole is stable. It's been dormant since the Endurance crossed it." "It wasn't dormant. We just stopped listening," Cooper replied, his eyes locked on the anomaly. "It's still connected. I've seen the gravitational spikes. Same as before." Dr. Tarsen shifted nervously. "Even if you make it through, there's no guarantee you'll find Brand. Or that Edmund's world is even habitable anymore." "I didn't ask for guarantees," Cooper said. "I'm asking for a ship." After a pause, Tarsen sighed. "The Odyssey is prepped. She's yours." Day 5, through the wormhole. The Odyssey, sleek, modular, and equipped with a new generation of AI, slid past the outer moons of Saturn and approached the wormhole. Cooper sat in the pilot's seat, hands on the console, heart pounding. TARS, the original AI from the Endurance mission, now fully rebuilt and upgraded, stood behind him. "You know the probability of a clean transition is below 78%, TARS said. "Better than the first time," Cooper muttered. "Your heart rate suggests anxiety. Why I think?" With a deep breath, Cooper engaged the drive. Space folded. Light bent. The ship twisted in impossible ways, and for a brief moment, Cooper heard it again, the voice of Meph, younger, calling to him from the past. Or was it the future? Inside the wormhole, time was a hall of mirrors. Then, clarity. They emerged into the far reaches of another galaxy. The stars were alien, the air silent. And there it was. Edmund's world. Day 8, landfall. The planet was more beautiful than he remembered from the brief scans. Towering snow-peaked mountains ringed a vast valley of green and gold. The atmosphere was stable, breathable. There were signs of life, trees, grasses, rivers glinting like veins of silver. And nestled in the valley, structures. Amelia had built a colony. Cooper landed Odyssey near the settlement and stepped out into the crisp air. The sky above was a pale lavender, and 2 moons watched from above. Then he saw her. Amelia Brand, still in her 40s, stepped out of a tall, glassy dome. Her eyes widened, and her breath caught in her throat. "Cooper," she whispered. He smiled. "Hey, Brand. Miss me?" Day 10, reunion and revelations. Amelia stared at him in disbelief for hours, her mind trying to catch up with the reality. Time had passed differently on the planet, she'd only been here for a decade, while for Cooper it had been nearly 50 Earth years. They sat by a fire that night in the central dome, overlooking the fields. She told him how Edmunds had died shortly after landing from a system failure. How she'd buried him and then built a life from the wreckage. How she'd engineered crops, terraformed small sections, and created an environment that could sustain a small population. She had been alone all that time. You came back, she said softly. Of course I did. Amelia looked out the window at the stars. Does Muff know? She's gone, Cooper said quietly. She died a year before I launched. Old age. Peaceful. Amelia reached for his hand. I'm sorry, Coop. She told me to find you. To finish what we started. Day 20. The new anomaly. TARS detected it first. A spike in gravity waves just beyond the planet's orbit. It pulsed in rhythm, intentional. A signal. This can't be natural, Amelia said, reading the data. It's structured. Like the one that led us to NASA. Cooper stared at the data, old instincts kicking in. They're still out there. You mean the they who built the wormhole? He nodded. They haven't stopped watching. The signal was pointing to a specific point in orbit, something hidden in the gas clouds of the neighboring planet. They took Odyssey up the next morning. Day 22, the beacon. In the upper atmosphere of the gas giant, they found it. A structure, enormous, orbiting in the clouds. Not human. Not even machine, as we understood it. It shimmered with refracted light and bent space around it subtly, like a piece of folded fabric. As Odyssey approached, the ship began to hum. This isn't a station, TARS said. It's a key. A key to what? Amelia asked. Then the ship jolted. Lights flickered. A beam of energy pulsed through the hull, but there was no damage. Instead, a projection filled the cockpit. Stars. Hundreds of galaxies. Lines drawn between them. A map. And at the center, Earth. Cooper stared, understanding dawning. They're giving us a way home. A better one. Amelia touched the hologram. Or, a way forward. TARS chimed in. The data suggests this is a bridge, a stabilized tunnel system, like the wormhole, but permanent. Cooper sat back. It's an invitation. Day 30, a choice. Back on the surface, Cooper and Amelia stood by the edge of the settlement, watching the sun rise. We could go back, he said. Tell them what we've found. Give Muff's children, and theirs, a whole universe to explore. Amelia hesitated. But that means leaving this world. Again. We don't have to stay gone, he replied. We can lead the first mission. Together. She smiled, a sad but hopeful smile. It's funny. We both lost decades. But we finally got here. Together. He took her hand. Let's make it count. Day 100, the Horizon Project. Back on Cooper Station, news of the discovery spread like wildfire. Humanity stood on the edge of its next leap, not out of desperation, but curiosity. They named it the Horizon Project, a fleet of explorers tasked with crossing the new bridges laid out by the ancient builders. Cooper and Amelia commanded the lead vessel, Endurance 2. Muff's descendants, now scientists, engineers, and dreamers in their own right, took up the mantle. And as Endurance 2 passed beyond the gravitational lens of the alien gate, Cooper smiled. He heard the stars whisper again. Only this time, they weren't calling him home. They were calling him forward.